Hi grade 11 student. So in today's video we are going to do a part 1 of creditors reconciliation statement. Guys, I have never ever seen this simple accounting topic in grade 11 like this one. This topic is very simple, guys, especially when it's going to be taught by me. Simple stuff. Okay, make sure that you watch until the end so that you're gonna learn something, because guys, you must get total here because everything is just going to balance. Okay, now this is what I want to tell you before we start. When we talk about creditors reconciliation, remember on the bank reconciliation that we were doing, number one, we were correcting mistake that was done by either bank or our business. Now here we are going to deal with our business as well as what, our supplier, our creditor, which means that creditor can do mistake and we can do mistake, which means that we are going to rectify those mistakes that was done by us or by supplier. At the end, it must balance it to show that we recorded everything correctly. Guys, I'm going to give you example first before we start with the question. What you need to know is that, guys, if we purchase something which is worth 50 rand, we must record 50 rand and the supplier must also record 50 rand this side. It's going to balance, obvious, because it's 50-50. But if another one record 30 rand instead of 50, there is something wrong which must be rectified. Okay, so this is what we are going to do. Now, let's first understand this. When we said a creditor's ledger, we are referring to our books. In our books, liability increase on the credit side. In other words, when we purchase something, it must increase on the credit side. But if we pay or we did transaction that reduce our liability, we record this side. So when we go to a supplier's book, we do the opposite. Okay, which means that because plus is this side, now it's gonna come this side, and minus will come this side. Just like that. They have to swap a side. If we record this side, when we go here, we record this side. If we record here, when we go this side, we record this side. Very simple stuff. Okay, that's the first principle that you need to know. Now let's start with our question. Creditors reconciliation. Equals traders buy goods on credit from Tembeka supplier. What you must also know, guys, is that when we prepare reconciliation, because we might have many suppliers, we prepare once at a time. If we are preparing a reconciliation for our business and Gumbo supplier statement must not include another business inside. It must be for us and Gumbo only. That's what we are going to do. Okay, so here we are going to deal with Tembeka supplier, which means that is us as traders and the Tembeka supplier only. If we find any other transaction, we must remove it. It's not part of this, what we are doing for this marks. Okay, simple. Now, 2.1, use the table provided, indicate the changes. Okay, so for today's lesson, for part 1, we are going to do this format. There are so many formats, guys. You must be very careful. Don't just watch one video and say you are going to make it. You are risking yourself, because when you go to test, when you find answer book in a different way, you are going to get very confused. Okay, you must be careful of that. Now 2.1, they said we have to prepare this. That's fine. 1.2.2, we're gonna read it after everything. Okay, information number A, they give us a creditors ledger account. Is our book. We don't recopy everything. We start from the last balance, because what we do in accounting, we correct mistake. Okay, if you check under number A, the last balance at the end, it was 117,200. 117,200. That amount is copy and paste. It's the right below at the corner. 117,200. So that's the amount that we need to start with, which means that even when we go to supplier statement, we start with the last one, which is 157,400. As you can see, guys, these two amounts are not the same. That's why you are now in grade 11 doing this creditors reconciliation. Just because of these two amounts are not the same, and you at the end you must make sure that the last balance here and last balance here must be the same by just reading what was mistake and you rectify. Okay, now we are done with the balances. We have to go to number C. It doesn't mean that those statements we are not going to use it. No, we have to check according to what they said on the transaction. Simple. Number C, errors and omission and other information. Number A, they said invoice 289. Take a note. You have to write this down, guys. When they said invoice was issued, it simply means that we purchase on credit and we have not yet paid. Simple. Okay. Invoice was incorrectly reflected in the account of Tembeka supplier in the creditors ledger. This good purchased from Tami supplier. You see what happened here? Now there is a Tami supplier. Tami supplier is not part of this reconciliation. Here we are talking about Ekasi traders and Tembeka. Tami must be removed. Okay. This was reflected where? On Tembeka supplier. Let's go and check it. Check number 289 under number A. Invoice 289. It has amount of 49,100. So it was credited. It was added, in other words. Now we have to do what? We must remove it this side because it does not belong to this reconciliation. Because if you try to match it and record it this side, it's going to be wrong because this reconciliation statement is for Tembeka. Is for Tembeka, and this one is for Ekasi, our business. So this one of Tami must just be removed from here so that we don't include it here because it does not belong to this reconciliation. Okay. We are going to deduct how much is 49? 100. Okay. Correction of error. Okay, it was incorrectly recorded. Very simple. We subtracted it because it was added on the credit. Number B, a credit note 791 was recorded incorrectly on the statement of account. This relates to correct entry for debit note 702 in the creditors ledger. Now let's check what happened. A credit note, guys, is when we return goods. When we return goods, it must subtract our liability. Okay, let's check what happened. Check credit number 791. 791 is 13,100. Okay, in under our statement account here is 13,100. They say it's related to debit note of 702. But in our statement, guys, we recorded 10,300, and on the other side they recorded 13,100. There is a difference between those two amounts. We must do what? We must reverse some amount. Okay. Now let's check which one is correct. They said a credit note was recorded incorrectly, which means that the one from the statement, the one which is here, which is a credit note number 791, is incorrect. That 13,100 is incorrect. What do? We must reverse the difference on the debit side. On the debit side, we must reverse the difference of how much? Okay. We're gonna say a credit note. Okay, the difference is 13,100 minus 10,300, and it's gonna give us the difference of how much? 2,800. 2,800. It must be on the debit because it was over subtracted on the credit. Then we have to do what? To add back so that it can go back to 10,000. Okay, very simple. Now I will teach you how to calculate this balance at the end. Okay, let's finish the transaction first. Number C, invoice 395 on the statement of account for goods was ordered by Ekasi traders. Okay, Okay, number C. Invoice 395 on the statement of account was for goods ordered by Ekasi Traders. Okay, let's check invoice 395. Invoice 395. Invoice 395. It is there on the statement. 12,500. They indicated that our liability has increased by 12,500. But now let's check. Is it this amount there on the books of the business? Let's check it. It must be on the credit. 12,500. Is it there? No, it is not there totally. Which means that we must go and do what? And add. This is invoice of 12,500. It was not recorded at all. That's why they said that it was ordered by us, Ekasi, but we never recorded it. Then that's why we go and record. But before you go and rush to record, you must first compare the invoice number with the one that we have on top. So we didn't have it at all, and we didn't have this amount. That's why we said that it was omitted totally. Okay. Number D, Tembeka supplier also purchased goods on credit from Ekasi Traders. Okay, then they said Ekasi Traders has transferred a debit balance from the debtors ledger. Okay, in other words, we buy to them and sometimes they buy to us. That's what they are saying. Okay, so they say this Tembeka purchased to us, and the general voucher is 585. Okay, now let's check here what happened. If you check on our books, we recorded that our liability goes down because again they ordered to us, which means that we have to reduce the liability that we owe to them. They purchased to us, we recorded this side amount of 6,400. How about in their books? They never recorded anything. And they said Tembeka supplier will include this on the next statement. Guys, for the fact that it is recorded in our books, we also have to show it because it belongs to them. We also have to show it in this statement. Why? Because if we don't show it, it will never balance. Okay, now we have to record this because it was debited. Now we have to credit when it comes this side. Okay, general voucher 585, and we have to credit amount of 6,400. Very simple. Okay, number E, the transaction on 24 April 2021 is for merchandise returned to Tembeka supply. Let's check. They said on 24. Let's check on 24. On 24, there is a debit note on our statement of 9,700. They say that this was a return. Guys, return does not increase liability. Return decrease liability, which means that they did mistake. Instead of debiting, they credit. They were supposed to reduce. Guys, we can't pay or we can't increase liability for something that we return. It was supposed to be this side. Okay, now what do we do? Because it was recorded here. Number one, we cancel. Number two, we record, which means that we are going to record it twice. Okay, we are going to say debit note correction. Okay, the calculation will be 9,700 plus 9,700. It must be recorded twice. Okay, which is going to be 19,400 this side. Very simple, guys. As long as you understand that what is debit note is when we return, and you will know that a return cannot come this side. It must come this side because it has to reduce what the debt that we have to this supplier. Okay. Then the last one, the statement of account reflects the transaction up to 25 April 2021. Okay, before we finish the last one, guys, thank you so much if you have been watching so far. But guys, I have noticed that we have a lot of students who are just watching, they are not even subscribing, and at some point they are even struggling to access the other part, because we did part up to part 5 for each and every chapter, but part 1, 2 and 3 normally is available for everyone, but when it comes to 4 and 5, I have hidden them for those who just subscribe to this channel, because to subscribe is free of charge. So if you haven't subscribed, guys, make sure that you subscribe. The main purpose is to make sure that we make accounting more fashionable and more relevant to everyone in South Africa. So in order to achieve that, we have to make sure that we reach as much as possible subscribers, so that even our younger brothers who are coming will still learn to this channel. Because if there is no subscribers, guys, in this channel, do you think you were going to watch this video? No, I was not going to record, obvious, because no one is supporting the channel. But the more you keep subscribing, the more we keep doing many videos. Okay, now let's finish the last one. The statement of account reflects the transaction up to 25 April 2021. They said the statement, but if you check on our books, we have another transaction than the one up to 25, which means that well, not they record until the 25, but on 31, the one that we recorded, they didn't, which means that we just have to record. If you check, we have on 31, we have a check and discount of 92,600. This, because it is debited here, when it come here, it's just to credit 92,600. We just credit. Okay, it's check and discount just like that. Okay, so if we have so many of them, if they said up to 20 and you find that on 21, 22, 23, 24 they are also recorded, you must all of them just swap aside. If it's debit, when you come here you credit. If it's credit, when you come here you debit. Just like that. It's simple stuff. Okay, now we are done with transaction, but we are not done. Now we have to calculate these balances, guys. Whenever you have transaction, after each and every transaction, you must calculate the balance. This is how you do it. 117, 200, and we said minus, because it's this side, minus 49,100 is going to give us the balance of 68,100. And we go to this side, we say 68. We take the last one and we adjust with the next one, plus 12,500. We say plus because of this sign of plus. It's gonna give us 80,600. Okay, and from here we have this one, which we have to do it to subtract, minus 19,400. It's gonna give us 61,200. Okay, now let's go here. We start with 157,400, and we have a plus here of 2,800, and we write 162, 160, and 200, and again we said minus 6,400, and we get 153,800, and again we said minus 92,600. Then it's gonna give us 61,200. If you check, you will find that this amount is the same as this one, which means that everything that we did without any stories, without any drama from other provinces, there is other provinces that have a drama. Without any drama, everything is correct here. We don't want any stories, any excuses, and so on and so on. But thank you so much, guys, for watching up to so far. And for those who want the study guide, guys, The study guide is still available. You're gonna get so many question papers like this to prepare yourself for test and examination. So the study guide is only 100 rand. The study guide contains a lot of questions and solution from term 1 up to term 4. It's only soft copy, guys. We don't deliver a hard copy because to print it out it was going to be more expensive. So to make it cheap, we just said we're gonna sell a soft copy by only 100 rand. And also extra class are very important, guys, because we do many question papers and some of them we don't upload them on YouTube, because to upload on YouTube it needs a lot of time, editing, a camera, and so on and so on. So come and join extra class, 100 rand only per month. You attend it twice each and every week. I'm gonna see you on the next one, guys.